Hello and welcome to part 2, where we're going to continue our previous video in which we've added these two options, initial and name, which give the user the ability to add an initial to the pillow product or a name basically. In this video we're going to add a monogram option in which he's going to have the option to add a monogram. A monogram is a series of 2 or 3 letters that show up something like this depending on the font that you've used. So here we're going to add 4 options, 4 styles. So we're going to add block and diamond, fishtail and interlocking. So we're going to add these 4 options and each is going to have a different font, etc., different configuration in general. So this is what we're going to create in this video as a continuation of the previous video. So without further ado, let's go right ahead. So this is where we left off in the previous video. We have the initial and name. We have these 2 options. We need to add the 3rd option, which is the monogram option. Here we have just 2. So if we go to engrave style, this is the option, engrave style, and click on options. Here we're going to need to modify this engrave option set. So we don't have the option to modify it here, so we're going to go back to our assets. And here we're going to click on assets and look for options and option set. And this is the engrave option that we've added. And I'm going to add a new option. This is going to be the monogram option. And this is going to have a $25 price increase. Once done, just click update and this is going to update the option set automatically. So if we go back to our product, my custom pillow for example, here we're going to find that monogram has been added. So we have initial, name and monogram, and in here we're going to need to add the other options for this monogram option. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click add new element and we're going to add these 4 options. What are these? What type of element is this? This is an image choices of element. So we're going to click here, image choices. And in this preview settings, we're going to select no preview. Why? Because this image does not actually show up on the pillow. It's this text field that shows up. So these images do not show up. So we're going to leave this to no preview and click create. That's it. Now we're going to name this, for example, as you can see, monogram style. Leave this required, additional charge, no. We're going to go right ahead and add our 4 images. So we're going to create a new image set of our 4 options. And we're going to name this, for example, monogram style images. Okay, we're going to add our first image, and this is going to be the block circle image. So we're going to look for it here. So these are the images as we have. And the first one I'm going to add is this block circle. So open. And I'm going to name it block circle. In the thumbnail type, I'm going to show the full image. I don't want to show a cropped image or flat color or custom image. Full image means that the image that I've just uploaded is going to show up as full. If you want to show just part of it, you can crop it here. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show the full image. Likewise, I'm going to add the other 3 options. So here we have the block circle, and I'm going to add the diamond. I'm going to call it diamond, just diamond. I'm going to also add the fishtail, and finally the interlocking option. Interlocking, I'm going to call this just interlocking, and that's it. Now once done, just click create, and this is going to automatically add the 4 options over here, which you can choose from. As you can see, when I click on one option, it doesn't show up here. That's the no preview. We don't want that. This is just a selector in which the user will be able to switch the style that he wants. So this is the default image, and the display type, you can use other swatches if you want, other types of display. As you see here, we have used the circle, not the rectangle. You can do that over here. Either use circle, rectangle, etc., small or large. I'm gonna leave it out large, and shape to circle. One thing we're going to set is a condition. What is the condition here? these monogram style element is only going to show up when monogram is selected. It's not going to show up when name is selected. We want to hide it here. In initial to, we want to only show it when monogram is set. That's the role of conditions. Show this field when, what is the condition? Like I said, when engraved style equals monogram. Now, only when the user selects monogram is this going to show up. When the user selects name, for example, it's not going to show up. This is linked to monogram. Now that's done, we're going to go to our next element. And this is going to be the first text field for the block circle. Okay, so we're going to create a new element, and this time I'm going to select a text line, and this time it's going to be a live preview. Why? Because the text that we're going to type in here is going to show up on the pillow on our product. So this is a live preview on the product, so I'm going to leave it to live preview, and I'm going to click create. That's it. For the label, I'm going to name it block circle as the name of the font, and in the default value I'm going to select A, B, C as the default value. The user of course can then change it later to the monogram that he wants. And in the font's character, this is where I'm going to modify my monogram, and the first thing I'm going to set is the typeface, the letter typeface that I'm going to use. What we want here is to set a monogram, either a monogram of 2 letters or a monogram of 3 letters. Here we're going to select monogram of 3 letters because that's where we're going to configure. So the first thing we're going to choose is the font family for the first initial. That means the first letter. For the first character, what is the font name of the font that I'm going to use for that A right here? And that's going to be a custom font. I'm going to upload it here. These are the block circle fonts, and I'm going to upload these 3. This is the left for the letter on the left. This is the center, and this is the right. So these are 3 letters. I'm going to upload them. It says here that I've already uploaded these fonts. It's no problem. If this is your first time uploading your font, it's going to say uploaded successfully. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to look for that font in here. So the font for the first initial is going to be left. So round, it's going to be left. For the second initial, it's going to be round but center. For the third initial, it's going to be round but right. And here, as you can see, it doesn't really look right. That's because we need to modify the font size and the spacing between the letters. So the font size for the first letter, I'm going to set it to 150, for example. Second initial is going to be also 150 and 150. So they're going to be all the same font size, but the spacing is going to be different. So this is the spacing, this is the X spacing on the X axis. So I'm going to increase this number a little bit just to put some spacing between the first and the second letter, and also between the second and the third letter. So this is the spacing for the third letter. I'm going to also set this to 10. So we're going to place this in the center, for example, and that's it. Next thing we're going to add are the colors for the monogram. So these are the colors that I've already added in initial and name. These are the same colors that I'm going to add here. And since I've already added them, I'm not going to create a new color set. Instead, I'm just going to look for it here. So it's engraved color circle, and this is going to automatically, as you can see, change the color for this option. So I'm going to rename this to select a color, and that is it. One last thing to configure is when this text field is going to show up. As you can see, if I click, for example, the diamond monogram style, this is not going to be hidden. Normally it should. Why? Because this is linked to the block circle monogram style. And to do that, I'm going to add a condition. And this condition is going to say, I'm going to show this only when block circle is selected and monogram is selected. So here I'm going to add 2 conditions. The first condition is going to say when engraved style is set to monogram and monogram is set to block circle. So if I change to the engraved style, it's going to be hidden, of course. And if I change to another monogram style, it's going to be hidden. So for it to show, I need to select monogram and block circle. So in the same way, I'm going to add the other three options, and it's going to be very straightforward. I'm just going to duplicate this option. Why? Because it's going to be literally the same. I'm just going to change the configuration. As you can see, I'm just going to change the name of the monogram style and the font used, etc. So this is going to be diamond and also ABC, but in the font and characters, I'm going to set a different font here. So I'm going to select add font, and here I'm going to upload the fonts that I want to use. So these are the three fonts: diamond, center, and left and right. So I'm going to click open, and here they have been uploaded, and I'm going to close this. And here I'm going to set a different font size like I said. But before that, let's set the condition so they don't overlap, so they don't show up both here. So I'm going to set the condition to diamond over here. So this is only going to show up when diamond is selected and not block circle. So fonts and character, like I said, this is actually going to be the mono left, diamond left, and this is going to be diamond center, and this is going to be the diamond right. So the diamond left, diamond center, and diamond right. And as the font size, I'm going to set here, for example, 170, for example, here 230 and 107. So the second letter, as you can see here, is a bit bigger than the other letters, so it's going to have a different font size. As for the spacing, I'm just going to leave this also to set to 10 and 10 here, just to put a bit of extra space between the letters. Now the user can choose the monogram that he wants and change the color also for the color that he wants to use. So in the same way, I'm going to add the other ones. So I'm going to duplicate this, and this is going to be called Fishtail. So I'm going to call this Fishtail, default value ABC. And for the font of this letter, it's going to be a little bit special. Why? Because the three letters have the same font. The three letters here have the same font, so I'm not going to set a different font for each, but I'm going to use the Fishtail font that I've already added when I've added the name. So it's going to be just this font, Fishtail Vintage Monogram. So Fishtail, I'm going to set the same font for the three letters. So like this, and I'm going to set the conditions so they don't overlap. So this time it's going to be Fishtail instead of diamond, as you can see here, and I'm going to just add a little bit of spacing and change the font size as well. So for example 150, 200 for example here, and also 150 over here. And for the spacing, let's say for example 13 over here, and maybe 14 over here. Let's put it in the center, and now we're done. You can also change these values as you wish, but the thing here, like I said, is that the B is going to be bigger, so the second letter is going to be bigger than the other ones. So I have set a 200 and 150 for the other two letters, and this is going to be a little bit bigger. So in the same way, I'm going to add the final option, and this is going to be called interlocking. So I'm going to name this interlocking. So I'm going to set a different font here. So this is going to be called also interlocking. Great. And in the font size, I'm going to upload the font for this monogram, and this is going to be called elegant fine, for example, something like this. So just upload the font that you want and set it for the three letters. So likewise here, I'm going to select the same font for the three options, and I'm going to just modify the font size, etc. So I'm going to change the condition. This time it's going to be interlocking instead of Fishtail. Okay, so when I select interlocking, it shows up, and I'm going to select the font size, for example 150. Okay, let's keep it like this, and let's put some space in between the letters. For example, here we can set maybe 15, and here let's say 16, for example. Let's put it in the middle, and now it looks perfect. And that's about it. So once done, just click save, and then you can preview your final result, as you can see here. So we're going to select here monogram, and select the font style, the monogram size, so block circle for example, ASD for example, and then change the color. We can change also the style as we wanted, for example interlocking, and for example fishtail as well, etc. We can change the color, etc. So this concludes our tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.